and welcome to FS Brew. FS Brew is the region's first podcast focusing on all things insurance and insurtech in the UAE and the broader Middle East. I'm Ranjit Philip, and I work with a boutique consulting firm where I work on M&A, funding, and go-to-market support for startups and tech companies.
Hi, I'm Vidya. I'm the founder of Forward, a startup that works with insurance companies to build their go-to-market digital propositions. And today we have a very exciting guest. We have Mr. Farid Lutfi with us. He is the insurance legend, as many would call it. He is currently the Secretary General of Emirates Insurance Association and Gulf Insurance Federation. He has over 40 years of insurance experience. He's still bubbling and excited about the industry. He works patiently between the insurance sector and the regulator as a lobbyist, communicating best practices and also imparting general insurance awareness within the country itself. We hope you listen in and enjoy the interview.
Absolutely.
We have the omnipresent, the insurance legend of the region, Mr. Farid Lutfi. It's great to have you with us. Welcome to FS Brew.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We want to kickstart with your insurance career itself. It's been 40 years in the sector. Now, tell us, why did you choose insurance as a career option?
That's a funny question. Usually people ask me when I was in college. I had an optional course to take among graduate for marketing, management, and economics. But one of the courses I took was insurance, just one. I passed with a B plus actually, but I never knew what insurance was anyway, apart from car insurance, just like any other immature nowadays in our market, unfortunately. But something happened that there was 3 governments got together, created a very large reinsurance company called Arab Insurance Group, ARIG.
Yes.
And once I graduated in August 1981, and they opened in August, and I joined in September. And by the virtue of, because it was a UAE, was one of the governments, and of course, being in insurance, I never chose insurance. But then the government told me, Farid, there is an opportunity in Bahrain, and I said, I'll take it. It was insurance. So that's how I started my career in insurance with Arab Insurance Group, and remained there for over 17 years until I came back home, leading some other companies here. Retail companies, obviously, and national companies. So that's how I ended up in insurance.
Most of the guests say this similar story because they fell into insurance by accident. And then they liked it so much that they stayed behind. And I think your story also talks about taking chances, right? If you had not said no, or rather, if you had not said yes, you would have been in a completely different line. So it's a great lesson for our listeners. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I had 2 choices, either banking or insurance. They both were the 3 countries started it in Bahrain. It's Libya and UAE. But I went and interviewed with both. When I went to the reinsurance company and the people there and staff and welcomed me and stuff, then the banking. So that took me to insurance because it was sociable. Until today, it's the most sociable industry. People I knew and trained with in 1982 in London, I still see them in the IFC in Dubai today.
So you mentioned about some of the federations, and they came up in our research as well. Emirates Insurance Association and the Gulf Insurance Federation. So what are the primary objectives of these bodies? And you are the Secretary General of these bodies. So what sort of role and responsibility falls on your shoulders? We'd love to know a little bit more.
Basically, the associations or federations, it's in every country, obviously, whether we take from the West or the East or Asia or anywhere. And that's the difference here as well, which in my case, when I found out that the association or federations, which are a body consistent of members of practicing people in the industry. There's banking, there's insurance, there's lawyers, everything. But insurance also one of these federations. And usually they are a right-hand arm, if I may say so, of the regulators. And they publicize this, whether it is on career, whether on training, whether it is on regulations, whether on consultation that they do. It's always with an association and the members of association, not just the one body, just like myself, because the association itself, or our name, by the way, changed also. It's Insurance Federation now. And within the association, of course, we have almost 9 to 11 committees, and each committee is specialized, whether it's marine, non-marine, training, human resources, and all that. These committees are done with bodies, professionals that from the members, and the association or federation belongs to these members actually, and they are the one address the issues that come out from the regulators and stuff. And obviously, we are a liaison between them, the industry, and the regulators at the same time. And that's it, not just us in UAE or GCC. And both of them, GCC and Gulf Insurance Federation, Emergency Insurance Federation, they work on the same basis, except the difference is one is the EIA, EIF itself, Emergency Insurance Federation, is compulsory. Everybody is a member. GCC we created in 1993, so that when the bodies of the GCC came together within trade or customs or borders within the GCC countries, we thought insurance was one of them. The bodies stuff we got together, we made also Gulf Insurance Federation, hoping that all becomes one as well. It haven't happened yet, and this is why it is compulsory still. It is. We have about 54 members from the GCC countries, including brokers, adjusters, most basically insurance companies and reinsurance companies as well. So that is what the federation is all about. And it's basically carrying the laws in the market with consultation, both associations, GCC and...
Got it. The advocacy body that liaises with the regulators. Okay, got it.
Good from a regulator point of view, because they are not in the market in the field, banking or insurance or finance. It is these people that know. And then, of course, they go back and forth and say what's the benefit for the market, for industry, for the economy of each country. And that's how they take it forward from there.
Yeah. And I think we've seen that many times the members rely on the body to have a conversation with the regulator on a certain regulation. Maybe there is a clarification or they want some changes. They always use the bodies to communicate that message. So we've seen that as well.
Because one hand cannot clap. You take thoughts from all the industry, like our members, about 60 insurance companies, and we have over, God knows, 300 brokers. And so everybody has an opinion collectively. And at the end of the day, they make their own decisions, but they always for the good of the market.
True, absolutely. So in your career span, you've seen a lot of changes in the insurance sector. Now, currently, the insurance sector is at a cusp of many changes as well. There's digital transformation. There's also a lot of adoption of AI. There's a lot of climate-based focus as well. Now, according to you, what are the current challenges that our sector, the insurance sector, is facing in the UAE and maybe the wider GCC as well?
I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but yes, with the new regulations, it's not just new regulations. What's happenings in the world, what happened? One storm comes and the whole hell breaks loose, like they say, and stuff. And if we talk about, for example, it's been in the news always that the April last year, for example, it changed the whole from the reinsurance point of view and insurance point of view as well. And of course, with the promulgation of the laws as well, that heavy losses, although we are not a catastrophe area, but apparently these things change. Now, that's the main challenge now. If we take one of the challenges, of course, AI and stuff is challenge for worldwide, and everybody's adapting it, and there is no escape. We have to stick with it. All the insurance companies, almost over 84% of the insurance within the GC, as I know, they're all adopting the AI anyway. So, and when there is no, you will be left behind if you didn't.
Absolutely. There's no choice here.
Exactly. And it's mobile apps. You do everything on a mobile now. And not just in the insurance industry, even if you're buying groceries, you don't go to shopping anymore.
And if I may take the flip side of that question, that was the challenges. What do you see the potential growth areas or opportunities for insurers in the UAE and the wider region as well?
That's a very good question, actually. I've been asking myself that, and I'm sure the whole market's asking what's happening now when our market grew, I would say 15 years and back, because things became like motor and health insurance became compulsory. In the days, like you see, not just a wider GCC and UAE. You see the medical book became 40 to 60% in some of these countries. In UAE, it is 60% now. It used to be 7, 8, 10% only 10 years ago. But so what my hope is, and the potential for insurance is more often if everything becomes complete on the property side. For example, take like we always talk, and people talk about that. Not all the homes, or over 70, 80% of the homes, or even not just the home, even the contents, it's not insured. And of course, as we know, insurance always, as I learned from day one, is the law of large numbers. The more the merrier, obviously, for premiums to be able to pay the liabilities. And my hope is someday then that all of this, not just to be compulsory, to be thoughtful for people to insure all their contents and homes. And sometimes even when I took over Alliance as a CEO of Alliance Insurance, local company, when I came from Bahrain in 1997, I was always soliciting that is nothing works without insurance, and it is very cheap. If you go to the cinema, I was giving an example, I did that in Expo. Today you spend 300 dirhams, just take you and your family in popcorn and stuff. And that doesn't cost you that much to insure your home or your contents annually, not one cinema, one film only. This is what we have to create, that awareness, but it is unfortunately it's not happening. And my dream is hopefully that everything within GCC, within UAE, everything should be insured, particularly on the property side. And that is where, when we see we lag behind, our penetration is low. This is what is not helping. It is, if all of this will insure most of the property, even a little home with the 2 bedrooms or whatever, this will add up to the penetration definitely. And this is what's happening in the Western world.
True.
Creating tax and stuff, usually I always used to say it's a common sense, where there is tax and stuff, everybody insures. And now it's happening basically, and hopefully we will end up insuring everything in our countries as well.
Yeah,
true. The whole asset gap that is there, especially there's so much of assets in this region. Just the awareness, the sheer awareness, I think would be one of the biggest challenges.
It's costly. It is not that costly. You pay for 1 year to insure a flat, or as far as the structure and stuff. And of course, contents and stuff depends on the value, obviously.
Sure.
Whether you have gold or rubies or Persian carpet or something, that makes a difference, obviously. But basically, it's still cheap.
It is.
Do you think then, if you identified that obviously cost is not that big issue, but it all goes back to that whole thing that we have been fighting as insurers, is that awareness piece.
Exactly.
How to make it simple enough and how to make the awareness grow. That's the challenge, isn't it?
It is definitely. I myself even been through where I've been to schools, police departments and stuff, and lecturing on insurance. I always wanted to adapt. This way bring me back to when I took one course of insurance. I never knew I would end up in insurance anyway for 43 years now. But I would like them to be taught in schools.
Yes.
From high school upwards. I think that would be a good idea. And hopefully I've been soliciting that this be taught in schools a little bit, a little tiny insurance part of any business class or something. It will be good.
Absolutely.
Now, just stepping onto that whole idea of technology transforming the landscape, tell us your views of that particular piece. How has that changed the landscape for the region? And what role do insurtechs play in this whole scheme of things? Are you particularly impressed with some insurtechs that are operating already in the UAE or GCC market? It'd be great to know your thoughts.
It is definitely, like I said earlier, that there is no escape without insurtech, which is part of IA technology, machine learning. And nowadays we have the insurtech, the regtech, the low tech, the marriage tech, everything is tech now. And people divorce online nowadays. So the insurance is this industry in particular. If I talk to Dubai, the heavy traffic and stuff, like my family, they love it. Everything is online. Even insurance, you don't have to go to office and find the parking and to go in the office and so on. Everything is done technologically, definitely online, with even mobile app, wherever you are in a mountain, as long as you have reception, whether you're in a country or not, you always follow up. Nothing stops you from doing that. And technology is obviously helping. That's on one hand. And always they say, that the question always come up, and I ask myself, that if technology is taking over the people, or robotics and all that. I always say, and that's how I learned actually. The first course I took, an IT course, which is on those machines in the old days, obviously. It's like a telex anyway. And I remember that nowadays, you cannot escape that. It has to be technology that's taken over everything. Today, and it is unfortunate, we become complacent. Even our students, children, grandchildren, everybody working on iPad. Nobody's reading anything anymore. Sure. But again, what I wanted to say is, there's nothing in the IT, as we learned, the word I was getting back to, we said garbage in, garbage out. We all learned that in computers. Whatever you put in, it comes out. So no matter it's technology and stuff, and they say, taking over humans, it's still humans are putting that in. Without them, there is no technology, or chat GPT, or the new one now that came up and all that. It's always a human element and experience. That's what also takes me back. We say, okay, like myself, I am 70 years old and been 43 years in insurance. I ran from telex all the way to internet and stuff. We're going in and we're still learning, and we learn from our children nowadays and grandchildren even. So this does not stop us. But again, I always emphasize people worry about they taking all our jobs. No, it's still the experienced people are the one who putting that experience. Nothing beats experience. Human experience, basically.
And I feel that with this whole thrust on AI, I feel that there will a little be an extra demand for that human touch as well, because people still need humans, right? And insurance is an industry which absolutely needs it.
And if we talk about life insurance, for example, that's always been a human touch. You cannot sell me anything. And that's why still one gap is there, that we have individual lines of business like motor and health individually. But the commercial ones, when you're trying to insure Burj Khalifa, that's a big commercial, and there's tons of stuff in that building. So it cannot be done online. I still can't see that. How could you do that online? But it is an evolution. It will come eventually.
I think I want to ask you a question on that. And I feel because of that human touch, you need a little bit of that agency workforce. And I think today, insurers like Zurich and all, they have a sort of agency, but it's not
the salespeople, definitely. Yeah,
correct. But
advice.
Absolutely, because you need that advice. Absolutely correct. But I wonder, some other countries have a little more agency, individual agents who are actually regulated, who can pass an exam and start selling insurance. I think that probably is a gap in our regulatory system in UAE, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Definitely, there is a gap. But I'll just give you an example. My son and my daughter, they both ended up in insurance without me. So
it's your guidance.
They actually watched me and told me and said, "Why are you going into insurance?" I said, "Oh, we see you're socializing, you're doing people we want to do." And they both of them went in there. And this, getting back to your question, my son was studying in the United States, and he worked as a sales agent, life insurance in the States. And of course, he had to take that exam, what you're talking about, his certificate. And he's now here, obviously, with DHA, Dubai Health Authorities. But he still renews his certificate in the States, takes the exam. It's an annual basis, basically. You have to go back again online and stuff and renew that. And yes, this is what we are lacking. We need that, definitely. Not to make it difficult, more difficult, but these regulations are definitely coming now for sale. He's adapting that in a way for the technical people and mostly C-suite or a little bit under management positions and stuff. But again, I say experience, nothing beats experience. I know there's a degrees and stuff, but sometimes they come back and they say, okay, you have to go get this degree and stuff. But you've been in insurance 40 years. It happened to me as well, but luckily I had the university degree and I had the experience. So I got exempted from that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if more people, younger people come in and get trained, then that should hopefully drive insurance.
Yeah. Now with the beginning with this, that's what I always say. That's from now. And some mothers were asking even on Facebook and stuff, so what do I tell my children to study going forward? Because they see how technology is taken up. It is technology, study technology. That's the only thing left now.
Yeah. And just on that whole tech piece, you were talking about how it is inevitable and it will play a role. Just on that part, do you have any insurtechs that you think are doing game-changing work? You spoke about life insurance, which does require a lot of human intervention. And we know of really good ones like the new ones like Haya, which has come in. So are there any thoughts there that you'd like to share?
Well, you mentioned the word Haya, that company. Yes, I mean, had their last conference. That's where I said, for the layman, I would say that even the young ones, educated, they get bored with going through a lot of things. Haya, honestly, I would say, yes, they are doing a great job. That when they mentioned it will cost you 7 dirhams a month just to buy a policy, a life insurance policy, what I'm talking about.
Wow, okay.
After the limit and all that, which is great because they're taking all categories in there, not just high net worth people.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think what you mentioned, the company Haya, and I'm not advertising them, but yes, I like that because they're doing that.
Great. Awesome.
Yes. And Farid, you mentioned the regulatory piece. So just drilling down into it, you said some changes are coming, which is obviously you're at the forefront of working with the regulators. Also, we just want to take a view of these open finance regulations that have come up. And obviously, the first point of contact will be the banking industry, but insurers will also get impacted. And also, we hear from our broker friends, oh my God, the new broker regulations, how do we manage? Any thoughts on that? What's your view?
There have been many thoughts on that. And let us face it, we are human. We hate change. Something changes, people say, oh my God, this we've been saying that since in my career in the last 43 years. Oh my God, now it's a fact. What happened to the telex? That changed, and look what changes we are 40 years later. And nobody likes change, but obviously change is always for the benefit, obviously, once you dig down deep into it. And this is one of our functions of the association, that we take these things, people ask us the new regulation stuff, and the companies ask and say, okay, you tune in this a little bit better and all that. And we take it back to the regulators, and they look at it and they come back with better solutions. But it's obviously for the betterment of the market, like open finance. That is open finance and open mind and open heart and open hand now. But it is transparency is important. Within the open finance, transparency helps, obviously. There's a lot of things happens here and there. Historically, I know, which I've been at, particularly on the life side and all that, and from the salespeople. So this clears that gap. And and creates more awareness, and people say, oh, now it is clear, I know what I want, so I'm going to buy insurance. I encourages sales, actually. And I like that open finance. Personally, I would like open finance. It needs tune up here and there a little bit, maybe, but the industry is working with the regulators as well.
Got it. And do you see the readiness on the part of the industry? Do you think it'll come into force within the next 18 months or so, or do you think it'll take?
Yes, between man you until yesterday, even there is a still negotiation between the regulators. Not a negotiation, it is a consultation, basically. They're taking points in and stuff to see how to establish that for insurance. And of course, we have to separate the banking from insurance. It is completely different, and this is what the regulators trying to understand as well. It is not the same. It's much more involved into insurance than it is in banking. Take the money in and take the money out and investment, but insurance is much more diversified than that. So yes, it's still going on and stuff, and the implementation will come hell high water, as they say. So it is coming definitely, because other countries adapted it. And if we're talking about GCC and UAE particularly, they are always ahead in this, adapting any new things for the benefit of the economy and the market.
That's true. Any thoughts on the broker regulations as well? How it's
on the broker regulation, there are some questions here and there. Again, it is on the same, both of them at the same time, they're going back and forth with the regulators on the broker side, but that came into effect already. Like I said, people say change is not good. Eventually, there is a well in front of you, you're going to fall in it if you are closing your eyes. So you want to go around it, you have to adapt.
Yeah, absolutely.
True. Oh, we spoke about the whole intent to attract young talent, to make sure there's wider penetration, adoption of insurance within the region itself. Are there any sort of efforts being done from Emirates Insurance Association or GIF that you're part of? And is there any specific advice that you're able to give to these young professionals looking to take up a career in insurance itself?
I've been soliciting that two of my children without telling them to go, and they ended up in insurance because they saw that my life is too very sociable with the people, knowing people. My children grew up with people with insurance. They grew up with grandchildren. We know grandfathers, fathers, and sons, they are in insurance. I mean, it carries on. And the same thing happened with me with children. I don't know about the grandchildren. They're too young still. But the advice is, even myself, when we get into insurance, okay, motor insurance, that way. No, it is one thing I learned in my 40 years, that the insurance and reinsurance, anything insurance subject, everything, even if you studied ancient history, if you study geomorphology, it goes for insurance. If you study geography, it falls in insurance. You study law, it falls in insurance. You name it. Everything. That's one industry you fit no matter where. And one of the departments, which have about 33 departments in the insurance and reinsurance career that I have seen, that they always, you fit in insurance, any subject you take. The reason I'm saying that, among our fellow, the first 10 that we went into insurance, one of the guys studied history to become a teacher. He became #1 insurance on us as a graduate trainee. He studied economics, and this is why I always take it. I never forgot this colleague of ours. He studied history, the medieval history, European history, Middle Eastern history. But in insurance, he was on the top.
Oh, wow.
Good thing, right? We as an industry are able to welcome all sorts of disciplines and absorb them.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And I'm like I say, nowadays a lot of these degrees and all that. But I trained in London in 1982. When there, I was wondering, I said, I had a university degree. And there is most of the insurance people, because by practice, they didn't, maybe they had a high school, but they were from chairman and vice chairmen of companies. By experience, they were. It comes later, the CII, FCIIs, and all that stuff.
Industry. So yeah, so we've pretty much come to the end of the first half.
I have one more question before we get into
go for
that.
it, Raj.
Is there anything, Mr. Farid, that we have not asked you that you would like to talk about?
Basic one, I mean, it was there, but you just didn't ask it. So you mentioned it in the thoughts, is the talent. How do you encourage these young people to go in it? And we talked about it a little bit, but I think, like I said, this is good for our countries and stuff, advisable. I think I'm thinking hopefully from the EIF, at least here, and to go into schools and talk about it.
Yeah.
Not just me, our professional, our committees there, that people from there, they're really good people and stuff. We just take them to school to encourage that insurance is something that, you cannot avoid anymore. And especially tech-wise as well. And let's not forget, last thing I would say, if you talk about life insurance, I was talking just to my wife yesterday. Do you know where life insurance came from? Which is very surprisingly, the original life insurance, which almost half of it is still adapted 2,000 years ago, is the law of Hammurabi in Iraq. That's where the life insurance came from.
Oh, wow.
Which is, you're talking about thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
It's still adapted today. So we're going backwards, unfortunately. And that's what we try to encourage that as well.
I just want to say that's a great noble thought about going to schools and all. I think from FS Bro, we're very
absolutely. I was just thinking that maybe we can do a road show in schools in collaboration with.
Are you guys in Singapore or are you in Dubai?
Yes.
No wonder I see you in every conference. Okay. No, but that's good. You can get in touch with the schools or universities. And you guys could go there, see what are their thoughts. Young ones thought, what about insurance?
Absolutely.
Funny enough, my children are insurance. None of them have life insurance.
One must do a survey to find out how many of the insurance professionals have a home insurance. It'll be surprising to find many of them don't.
I don't know if I told you, when there was Dubai Expo here, they asked me to talk about insurance. And people was talking, okay, so like normal, we pay premiums. What do we get? Buying life insurance. I said, no, life insurance is a prolonged. I give an example of my own family. I bought life insurance up to 1 million dirhams for me and my wife. She had 500,000. I had 1 million. And she developed cancer, her sisters. That was, of course, there is a critical illness you buy with life insurance is a cash payment, which is 50% of limit. 1 million, there's 500,000. So yes, we got cash limit, took her, cured her in London, and I was telling this to the Expo people. When I came back, and we came back with the rest of it, we bought a new car even. So is that true? I said, yes, that is how it is. But hoping nothing happens. Yes, then your premium is gone, but still with a life, you never lose anyway. At the end of the day, with maturity, you still get your money back plus. But if critical illness attached to it, and this is a life example for myself I'm talking about. So they were surprised. I said, not surprised, it is again, people don't know. We need to preach more and more.
Absolutely.
Great.
So rapid fire now, Vidya, over to you.
We're now going into the last section of the interview, Mr. Lutfi. So it's essentially rapid fire. We throw a few questions to you. You have to answer them quickly. Yes, very quickly with less than 60 seconds. And and we look forward to this whole new section with you. So if you're ready, let me start off with 5 questions and then Ranjit will follow with another 5. Yeah. So what's the biggest lesson that you've learned in your career?
That insurance is a really sociable,
friendly people, right? Yes.
And what's that one word to describe?
It's a people's business. That's what it is.
Yeah,
it is. Unlike many people think, but it is a people business. What is that one word to describe your leadership style?
Humble.
And what's your favorite city to travel for pleasure, for business, or both combined?
I usually go to my wife's country. It is Seattle, Washington. It's beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Quite rainy, I hear, right?
Yeah, but we go behind the mountains. It's not much rain. Whereas the fruit, apple capital of the world, fruit country in Washington State, Washington apples.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay, nice. Fab. What's this one book or a blog or a podcast or a documentary that you recommend the most?
To be honest with you, and I learned it actually from my wife. She bought it in English. And of course, we bought it in Arabic as well. Life of Muhammad. It doesn't have It's been taught
Nice.
in Washington, in Virginia or Washington, D.C. universities, which I
Oh,
found out
nice.
later. Because, sorry, I take the story because I read that lady, somebody asked some student, what are you teaching us? You bring paper. And she says, this Sirat Muhammad means the life of Muhammad, the Prophet. And it is the ethics college, ethics class, which I took one in university as well. I mean, that is, I'd say number one, but usually people, I like Gandhi, Mandela, people like that.
Okay, so biographies of people.
Biography, definitely.
Nice.
People have nothing on their shoulders, but they were really, when they say you are human or a human being or being a human.
Nice.
Of course, money there as well.
Yeah. No. What's the one exciting tech innovation in insurance for you?
I hate to say that, but say ChatGPT and then the new one that's came out, what's called that.
So Farid, do you use it like on a daily basis or a weekly basis? How's your use?
Not really. You don't need to use your brain. So like we used to do research and stuff, except a few numbers here and you add, and the rest just comes up by itself.
I think that's a very good point. That the research point, it really helps in the research. That's a very good. It's fast to do research, right?
Absolutely. Great.
Perfect.
Over to you, Ranjit.
Who is the most inspiring entrepreneur or business leader for you?
Oh, I can't go wrong on that one. Warren Buffett.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, absolutely. I
love it because he always says, don't buy things you don't need.
Yeah.
I tell my family that every day. Don't buy things you don't need.
Yeah, that'll help a lot. And what is the one emerging industry trend that you're most excited about?
Industry as insurance, you mean?
Insurance.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go out of home anymore. You basically can buy it from anywhere.
Absolutely. I would like Kareem to deliver us an insurance policy one day.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're getting there.
They're getting there. And
somebody will take that idea and use it.
And what is the one top priority for your federations and the roles that you hold for 2025?
One priority is always to implement what the regulators want in a sufficient basis and timely basis.
Okay.
Nice.
And if you look at the sort of industries across UAE, which do you think has the most dynamic insurance needs right now? And I think you touched upon property.
Definitely property, life insurance, not just life, and still life with investments and stuff for people to think about, because a lot of people are thinking about investment in the future. Money is not coming in hand anymore like it used to be. People think about future. Like I said, my children is not even thinking about it. They keep hitting him with advices and stuff, which I haven't done either. At the later stage I did, which helped a lot actually in curing my wife and buying a car.
Perfect. And finally, what is the biggest risk that you ever taken?
When I got educated, I educated abroad. And I'm talking about 44, 45 years ago.
Why did you feel that was a risk?
I was going to an unknown. My parents, there was no communication, no nothing. A letter could take 3 months between you and your father through the embassy.
Oh my.
Wow. So think about it. So I thought that was a risk, and look at the risk we took. Where did it bring me? And I thought at the time, parents, where are you sending me? And now that I think about it, yes, that is the biggest risk, but also the most beneficial.
I think this is the lesson that all underwriters should take away from this podcast.
Exactly. But in those days, there was no means of communication. That's what the problem was. So nowadays, I have a child in the States. I can pick up, WhatsApp, and she answers depending on the day or time of the night. In those days, your parents never knew where you were. And they go to the embassy, is my child okay there? Or, and by the time you get to the embassy with a letter, it takes 2-3 months.
So that kind of brings us to the end of this podcast. And it's been an absolute pleasure. We can keep talking to you for hours, I feel.
Thank you. You too. And I'm glad it happened finally. Video was after him for a while. So
yes. So every time I see him, I would hound him.
You had done some good people on there as well.
Excellent.